What's up, y'all? I'm just gonna go on, I guess, a rant or a discussion with myself for a little while. So if you want to listen to that, then you can. Adolescence is a phase of life between childhood and adulthood. From age 10 to 9, it's a unique stage of human development, and an important time for laying the foundations of good health. Adolescents experience rapid physical, cognitive, and psychosocial growth. So what does that mean, essentially? So what's the meaning of that, I guess, is the question I'm here to ask. And obviously there is no true meaning to that. Those are literally just words that, like, but I think the biggest part to that is, is the developmental part of it. Um, Obviously adolescence is, a very developmental exchange. Obviously, from age 10 to 9, you're a drastically different person. In fact, even though obviously I'm not 19, I do feel like I'm drastically different from when I was, say 10 years old. And I feel like that's a really important thing. Um, and I think it makes it a lot harder because it's just like, how, um, how do you approach adolescence? Or to get the most out of adolescence, how are you supposed to approach it? Um, and it's difficult to say because while it's obviously a very developmental time, it's also where you're gonna be like setting yourself up for the rest of your life essentially. And I feel like that's a lot of stress to be putting on people really young, and I don't think it's necessary. Um, I wish it weren't like that because I do genuinely think this time should be spent to the best of just like doing what you want, really finding out who you want to be, rather than having to deal with grades, trying to get extracurriculars, trying to do look good on a college application, or trying to figure out what you'd want to do even if you don't want to go to college. Like what you want to do once you have to do some type of contributions to the world, because that's what you're supposed to do. So it's that way. So basically, I just don't feel like it's correct in the way society makes adolescence out to be, and it's obviously a very difficult time period for most people because, I mean, the whole thing, like, you're trying to go from, this, snotty-nosed kid, right? Just like, a kid that doesn't really know much about the world. It's just, going day by day, doing whatever they want, trying to have fun, to being, someone who has to be expected to be intelligent, be, very socially aware, very capable academically, or maybe for some people athletically. And I think that's difficult in so many ways, and like, obviously right now I'm playing a video game, and that's probably not the best way I could put time to use. Like, I don't think this is effectively, or in a good way, affecting how I'm gonna be in the future. But I'm enjoying myself to an extent, so is that enough reasoning to consider the fact that I'm enjoying it? Or does it have to be more? Do I have to be contributing to my future for something to be worth doing at this time? Now, in my opinion, that answer is no. But then obviously you're kind of falling behind against the people who are putting this free time right now to good use, and doing something more with it that would help them and benefit them in the future. So I really just fall to my death. But so, like, what do you do with that? What should you think about that? and obviously it shouldn't be a competition. It shouldn't be a race who can get most successful, like who can get the most successful, whatever. I think unfortunately, I think that's how it ends up being a lot of the time. Um, and it's really unfortunate because I don't think life should be that way. Everyone obviously wants to leave their mark on the world and whatever, but I think obviously the end goal of life should just be to be happy. I mean, why even support life if you're not even, enjoying it, or at least you're not. And obviously that's a question for yourself. How are you gonna find enjoyment out of the things you do and whatnot? And that's, you think about it now, and that if, say, your end goal is to be happy, right? So what you're doing now, say you want to get into good college and whatever, you want to get into college, you can get a good job, which could make you a lot of money. Obviously money itself can't bring happiness, but the hope would be that money would, take stress off of your life because you're not going to have to worry about paying the bills and you have a lot more financial freedom. Or if you're not enjoying yourself then because, say, your job is really difficult or whatever, then the hope would be, okay, once I reach retirement age, I can enjoy myself because then I'd have a bunch of free time. But then the question is, what's the difference between the freedom I'm spending enjoying myself now versus the freedom I'd spend enjoying myself once I'm at retirement age and have disposable income? Because it's not like I have to pay bills now and I have a lot less, things I gotta deal with now than, say, if I'm like at the age of 60 years old. And you also have to account for the fact that you don't know what you're gonna, or what position you're gonna be at once you're at that age or into adulthood. Like, I could die tomorrow, and that's just how life is. And so why would I spend all this time setting myself up for the future if I don't even know, like, say, what I want to do once I reach that time period of my life? And then I'm gonna obviously feel what's even worse. It would be regret, wishing that, I say, either I put too much of my free time in messing around, or I put too much of my free time in trying to set myself up for the future. And then it's like, okay, so I'm never gonna know exactly what I should be doing at this time period. And then obviously there's so many other aspects of adolescence. Obviously there's the social aspect of it, unfortunately. Once you reach a certain age, you start caring a lot about trying to be like other people, trying to fit in, or trying to stand out in like a positive way, trying to be, whatever, because you're trying to become who you want to be at, adulthood, and that includes a lot of trial and error on your part. I'm just trying to do things, and most of it usually doesn't work out. So that's usually kind of cringy. So yeah, it's difficult, I think, in a lot of ways. And then when you're doing so much of this trial and error, everyone's super duper judgmental, and so everyone's, judging everyone for everything, essentially, at the age of adolescence, and it's kind of pointless. I think the world would get a lot more done if people set their egos aside and just, like, understood that everyone's human and respected everyone. You don't have to like everyone, you don't need to like everyone, because not everyone is your forte, that's okay. But, like, even if you like someone, you can still have respect for them, and you don't have to listen to them. I think that would save everyone a lot of time and energy if we just respected each other, even if we don't like each other. Because respect and likeness are very different things. But yeah, that's a different topic. Anyways, obviously, elementary school, you live life more day by day. You don't really think about the future. You just kind of do what you're told, and um, try to enjoy yourself, and then once you hit a specific age, obviously, you know, once you hit puberty, you deal with a lot of different things. I mean, and obviously your voice drops like a rock. That's pretty obvious if you look at my old videos compared to my voice now. But yeah, and then all the things that happen to you really just kind of screws with your mind a lot. And a lot of the time, then when it comes to who you associate with, it just kind of destroys who you are as a person slowly. And then it can affect your mental health so terribly. I mean, the amount of stories of people who just say like they were just absolutely broken when they were in middle school is it's pretty heartbreaking, honestly, because that's how it is, man. Kids can be ruthless, and that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate about life. I wish people just were a little bit less, you know, honest about it. And then obviously high school, you end up finally shaping yourself into who you want to be. And for some people, you know, some people just, you know, because of their upbringing, who they decide to associate themselves with, get very different results of who they end up being to their adulthood. So that brings me back to my original point of what is the point of adolescence and childhood, and what, you know, what's the meaning? What should you be doing? And the ideal answer would just be to try and enjoy yourself and be happy, because once again, I think happiness is the end goal of life. But what usually I think is probably how you should approach it, or my advice to approach it would be to be more try to enjoy yourself. Obviously, don't just spend all your time trying to set yourself up for the future, because that's gonna end up a lot of burnout. Obviously, a lot of people talk about like gifted kid burnout. Like they, as a child, they put too much stress on themselves, and then they kind of just kind of fully disassociated as they reach a certain time, sort of broke. And so obviously, you shouldn't be spending all your time trying to prepare yourself for the future in several different ways. Enjoy yourself, do what you want to do, but you know, obviously, you still try to maintain some level of academic ability, some level of enjoyment. Try to maintain your friendships, relationships. Obviously, I'm not the best at that, but yeah. So that's all I have to say. If you made it to this point, then I appreciate it, because I was ranting a lot there. But yeah, thank you for watching. That's it.